If you're like most people, you're a little nervous about the upcoming presidential election, and a lot of people are concerned that it's having an effect on the housing market. But can an election really have impact on housing? Well, in this video, we'll take a look at past elections to find out. Hi, my name is Casey, and on this channel, I like to share information about the housing market. But with the upcoming election just a few months away, I felt it was important to let people know if we can expect the election to have an impact on the housing market. So if you're thinking about buying or selling a home anytime soon, it's just one more thing to worry about. And I understand completely. It's easy to feel nervous, especially when you see how divided people become over politics. But I do have some good news. If you look back at the data over the past several decades, you'll see that presidential elections typically have only a small and temporary impact on the housing market. So let's take a look at the numbers and see. First, let's talk about home sales. Now, historically, in the months leading up to an election, there's often a slight slowdown in home sales, but it's not anything significant. This dip is usually minor and doesn't last long. In fact, after 9 of the past 11 presidential elections, home sales actually increased the following year. So while we might see a little hesitation in the market right around election time, it's not something to stress over. The market tends to bounce back right after the election. Now, what about home prices? Now, some people wonder if prices drop during an election year, but do they? Well, the answer is not really. Here's what the numbers show. Home prices tend to follow the same trends they were on before the election. So if prices were rising before the election, they're likely to keep rising afterwards too. And if they're trending downwards, they'll typically continue down. So the truth is, home prices are much more likely to be affected by economic issues rather than by the election itself. And finally, let's take a look at mortgage rates. Now, mortgage rates are having a big impact on the housing market right now, and they have a lot of people very worried. But if we look back at the last 11 presidential elections, mortgage rates have actually decreased from July right up until the election in November in 8 of the last 11 election years. If you look at the current mortgage situation, rates peaked about 2 months ago when they reached almost 8%. But since then, we've seen rates slowly start to come back down, and right now we're seeing rates right around 6.5%. And if we listen to the top financial experts, most are expecting rates to continue to come down as we approach the election in November. So this is good news if you're in the market to buy a home soon. So if you look at the past presidential election years, you'll see that they can have some effect on the housing market, but the impact is usually very minimal and short-lived. And it's completely normal to feel nervous during an election year. In fact, I think it's safe to say that we're all feeling it. But history shows that the housing market has been very resilient, and we're not expecting any significant changes between now and election day. So if you're thinking about buying or selling a home, and the numbers make sense for your situation, don't let the upcoming election cause you to put your plans on hold. And as always, if you have any questions about the real estate market, please let me know. I keep up to date with all of the changes going on in the housing market, and I'd love to help. I'll put my number up on the screen, and all of my contact information is located down in the description below.